What's happening, people? My name is Robbie and today is Monday, which means it's a reaction video day. Today we're going to be watching making $46,000 in 6 weeks selling NFTs. So I made a video about NFTs a few weeks ago and tried to explain what an NFT is, how they're being sold, who are selling them, and just a little bit of information on them. There's a lot of money being made in NFTs at the minute, and there's also a lot of debate whether it's a bubble or not. In my previous video, I said I don't think it's a bubble, but I'm starting to change my mind a little bit, I think. One thing I've noticed on the NFT front is I keep seeing people releasing NFTs and talking about creating NFTs, but I very rarely hear about people buying NFTs. The fact that everyone is creating NFTs, people are turning tweets into NFTs, they're turning YouTube videos into NFTs, they're turning random photographs into NFTs. Who is the target market here? So because of that, I'm still yet to invest in any NFTs, and to be honest, I don't think I will anytime soon. But this video making 46k in 6 weeks selling NFTs did catch my interest. I hope the guy isn't just churning things out in NFT form, because that's what everyone seems to be doing at the minute. But before we find out how he's making 46 grand in 6 weeks selling NFTs, you know the drill. I need you to like this video and hit the big red subscribe button below. We're only 22 subscribers away from the target of 250 for the end of the month. So with your help, I think we can do it. And a like on the video helps me grow the channel, helps the channel be promoted, and it also gives me indicators on what people like to see and what they don't like to see. So if you like this type of content, hit the like button so I know to make more, and if you don't like it, don't hit the dislike button, just ignore it. Thanks. Okay, on with the video.
Can I grab something real quick? Yeah. Great, okay, hold on. So this is my most expensive piece of art I've ever made and sold, and it continues to make money. My business went from 150K to like 800K in what felt like a second. That's life-changing. I think that NFTs is going to change the entire landscape of art. My name is Blake Jamieson. I am a pop portrait artist for professional athletes here in Brooklyn, New York. I grew up in a very creative household. My dad is an art collector and was a photographer for a long time. My mom makes mosaics. My grandma paints. So I studied economics at Davis and got into digital marketing after college, which was cool because it allowed me to do something artistic a little bit. It was graphic design, video editing, copywriting for clients. When I turned 30, essentially, is like when I just decided that I wanted to do something else. It wasn't like an aha moment that I was like, I can't do this anymore. It was like a gradual, like I just got run down. Even though I was doing creative stuff every day, I was like doing it still within this box and like having to punch in and punch out, essentially. When I left the job, I took a 5-week trip to Barcelona. I had never been to Europe before. I didn't have any plan. I had a backpack. I had a 1 night booked in a hostel and like literally nothing else for 5 weeks. And so there were walking tours of Gaudi architecture, and there was one of street art and graffiti in Barcelona. They were like the graffiti capital of the world in the 80s and would draw artists from all over the world would come there and paint. She basically like told us on the walking tour, like, you know, they make it with stencils and they do this and like you can see this technique. Like she was like kind of technical. And so I was just like inspired. And so then when the trip ended and I came back to the US, like I guess that's really like when I decided that's how I'm gonna fill my time.
Well, I'm excited for you, honey. I can feel your passion. And when you get into something, you really get into it. So I think you'll make it work for you because that's what you do.
That's the plan.
It's a pretty nice safety cushion, 90 grand in savings. I don't know if that 90 grand in savings is also from him selling his house to move into his parents' house. 90 grand is a decent cushion for a career change to pursue something that you're more interested in.
And I'm 30 years old at this point, and my parents are just so cool. And I set up a studio in our family property, essentially. It's like very rural, it's 2 acres, Marin County, just north of San Francisco. And there's this barn in the back of the property, and I used one of the barn stalls that my grandma used to have as her art studio in there. Naturally.
So he started to build a following, and I would guess this is quite crucial to the success of his art. If you don't have a following, no one wants to buy your art. And more to the point, if you don't have a following, no one wants to buy your NFTs.
I like documented everything that I did, took pictures of everything, posted it online. Slowly, people started saying, hey, how much is that piece? Oh, I want to buy this piece. I'm interested. For like, I think at least 6 months, I would not sell a painting because I didn't feel comfortable with my ability with the paintbrush, essentially. or a spray can. But I am a businessman and like I wanted to sell paintings. And so I made a list of all these people that had reached out and wanted a painting. And so then
I wonder if, I'm noticing that his trainers have paint on them, his jeans have paint on them. Is this meant to be artistic? It doesn't look like it's just through painting and they've just been splattered with paint or they've came in contact with the paint. Is he trying to let us know that he's an artist? Not very often that you see people covered in paint voluntarily. Is it an authenticity thing? If I had CNBC coming over to film me, I would make sure I had my good clothes on without any paint on them.
And I think it was the very end of 2016, I made a Facebook post and it was kind of like a recap of the year post. And it's like, look at all the things I painted this year. I'm also ready to sell my first piece. In fact, I'm gonna sell 10 pieces. And the way that it works is I have 10 16 by 20 canvases and I will paint anything you want on it for 500 bucks, but it has to be a stencil that I've already cut. And those 500 bucks each times 10 sold out in like a couple hours. So I made like $5,000 the first day I ever sold art. I remember when that happened, I'm like, I think I could do this. I knew that it was important to have like a specific thing that I was gonna do. That was like part of me working with all these businesses as content marketers. It's like, yeah, but who are you serving and what problem are you solving? So I wanted to apply that to my business. And so I'm like, okay, well, I just looked at the list of everyone that bought my paintings and was like, looked at what they do and who they are. And like almost all of them were in like tech startup. And that makes sense because that's like my contacts. And so that like kind of triggered to be like, you know what? Maybe I'm the guy that makes super dope art for offices and I can leverage all my existing contacts. I did this awesome like Steve Jobs portrait for Hintwater in San Francisco. And I'm also thinking at the same time, like, okay, how do I market myself differently than other artists? Everyone else is on Instagram, I'm gonna use LinkedIn. If like fate hadn't brought me to the sports angle, I would still be doing that and probably doing okay with it. But fate brought me to Las Vegas delivering art to a different person. And then during that trip, I met a guy who played in the NFL, Jared Faison. Changed my life. He really liked my art and he's like, hey man, the office stuff's cool, but let me get you into football. I've got a few clients that I think would be a great fit for you, that they would appreciate your art. If you do these 3 for free, I'm gonna have all of them promote it and post it. I think when I got back from that Vegas trip, I'm pretty sure I updated my LinkedIn like that day from like, I make art for offices to I make art for athletes. So like literally in the locker rooms, I would get like DMs from somebody that took a picture of my painting in like their teammate's locker and they're like, how do I get one of these? And it was like clockwork. Ultimately, like Topps baseball cards saw one of the paintings that I had done for free and then set up a call and like invited me to be part of what was Topps Project 2020, which went totally nuts last year and changed my life. Topps selected.
That's crazy as well that it's pretty risky doing the work for free. Obviously it's a calculated risk because it's a famous football player, but a lot of people turn their nose up at working for free and it's quite short-sighted to do so. For example, he's done 3 pieces for free and off the back of doing those 3 pieces, they've been seen by all the other players in the locker room, they've all wanted pieces for themselves, and now he's doing work for Topps, who are one of the biggest sports cards companies in the world, all because he's done 3 paintings for free. Makes you think.
20 artists all across the board. There were painters like me, digital artists, and then each of us recreated 20 different iconic baseball cards. They released them online, they sold them for 48 hours, only on Topps.com is the only place you could get it. It cost $20 per card. It was like a madhouse. During the Topps project, a friend of mine, Matt Costello, and myself started a podcast. One of our early guests was an artist named Micah Johnson, who used to play in Major League Baseball. Now he's an artist, a fine artist. He essentially explained NFTs, but like didn't call it that. I got really lucky of getting in early, but I also just didn't understand it. So like I posted a couple things, but nobody bid on it, nobody saw it. And I didn't really promote it because I'm like, I don't understand this thing. Why would I send people to look at this when I could send people to my Topps project that's like, this is my dream, right? When that changed, I look at like what's I think gonna like move the needle the most for me this year, and NFTs is ahead of Topps. That just happened in the last 6 weeks. Somebody bid, and it wasn't a lot. It was like 0.1 Ethereum, but at the time that was still like $100, $150 that I'm like, wait, they're gonna give me $150 for that?
One of the biggest issues is like people don't understand what they can't touch and they can't feel. If that's the problem, how do I solve that problem? Well, one way is by sending them something physical to go with the NFTs. So I started experimenting with that, just doing like a print on metal. Even have one most recently that I sold that comes with literally like the original painting of LeBron James that I did. which is actually the most expensive NFT I ever sold, was coming with a physical painting, which to me makes sense.
Can I grab something real quick?
So that's a point that I mentioned in my previous video about NFTs. There is utility in selling NFTs. So obviously he's incentivizing his potential customers by including something physical alongside the NFT. Ultimately, the plan is for the NFT to be the most valuable part of this transaction. But maybe the customer doesn't really feel like he's getting much for his money if he's just getting a digital file. Whereas if he's also getting a piece of physical artwork that he can put on his wall or store somewhere, now he feels like he's getting something out of the transaction as well as an investment.
Great, okay, hold on. So this is my most expensive piece of art I've ever made and sold. And it continues to make money. So when I was looking around at like things that I should sell for NFTs, I was always seeing like some weird, like kind of trippy, funky stuff. And like I just like looked over at this and saw like some of these parts and I'm like, this could be kind of a cool piece. And so I basically just, you know, put it down on the ground and took and used like my nice camera and took high-res images all the way across of each section. I sold, picture the chunk, for like $1,000. And then I sold the next chunk and it was like $1,200. And then I sold the next chunk and it was like $1,500. It's been a couple months and I've made $45,000 on Super Rare and maybe $5,000 on OpenSea. And really,
that's crazy that, as far as I can gather, he already had this piece of art in his studio and he could have sold that as one NFT or one piece of art, but he's broken it down into segments, sold it as individual pieces, and essentially that's now a collection. I would imagine if his work stays relevant, particularly in the NFT space, that collection could be pretty valuable as the full collection altogether. This guy's not silly.
most of that has been in the last like 4 to 6 weeks. This is gonna sound like cocky and arrogant and like I don't actually care about money. Like I have love over money on my wrist just as like a pretext for this, but like I firmly believe that I will be a millionaire in like 8 weeks. It's interesting to go from like not know how to pay rent, rent's totally paid for, I feel like I'm living the dream, to like, wow, that actually was like part of what's possible, which is cool. Weird. This is my most expensive piece of art I've ever made. It's ridiculous, but pretty dope.
So that's actually pretty funny. I don't know what his net worth is at the minute, but when you hear people say, I'm going to be a millionaire, it's typically, I'll be a millionaire in 10 years, I'll be a millionaire in 5 years. To hear someone say, I'll be a millionaire in 8 weeks, it's a funny concept. And it just goes to show that the whole crypto space and NFTs, it's so lucrative if used correctly. I would imagine you're aware of the situation with Dogecoin at the minute and how much money is being made there and in crypto in general this year. And it just goes to show that you don't have to actually be investing in the crypto space to make money from it. I don't know if Blake in the video owns any cryptocurrency, but he's definitely making some serious cash from the crypto and NFT situation. And the art was very cool. I really liked the art. Don't think I can afford it at this point, particularly if he's going to be a millionaire in 8 weeks, but very cool nonetheless. So this whole NFT thing, I feel like every single time I hear about it, my opinion changes. At the start of this video, I told you that I think it's a bubble. Has this video changed my opinion? No. I think it's amazing that people are making so much money from it, and I think the people who are buying these NFTs are not short of cash, so if it is a bubble and it bursts, or more likely there's a correction and the prices of these NFTs drop significantly, I don't think these people are going to be left homeless. And I think over time NFTs are here to stay, so I don't think the people buying them are losing money, but they may take a hit short term. Meanwhile, people who are potentially making decent money are now making serious money, and that's purely because they're getting involved in this NFT thing at the very beginning and they're being rewarded for the risk. So yes, I do think the NFT thing's here to stay, but hold me to this, I think by the end of 2021 there will have been a correction of some sort where the hype and the craziness starts to die down a little bit, but maybe I'm wrong and it's going to absolutely skyrocket for the rest of the year. But bear in mind, Beeple sold a collection for $69 million. How much can that skyrocket by? Seriously, something's got to give eventually. So in summary, do I think you should buy an NFT? No. Do I think you should sell them? Maybe. Am I going to release an NFT? Absolutely not. One thing I will say about Blake Jamieson in the video is even if the NFT thing goes away, I don't think he's going to struggle. By the look of it, he will be ahead of the curve and he will find what the next trend is as it's starting to become a trend. So just like last week, I'm going to have a quick look through the comments and see if anything stands out. When your parents have money, it's easy to do painting. That's true, it is a lot easier when you're able to move back into your parents' house and you can commit some time to painting full time. We're in full bubble territory now, so I think I agree with financial shenanigan here. I think it is starting to go like a bubble. I hope it's a correction, but it could be a bubble. NFTs are useless. People will never make money on them, only the original seller can. The buyer can never resell it themselves. That's not true. From what I've read, the original creator of the NFT makes a percentage every time it's sold. For example, if I bought one of Blake's NFTs for $5,000 and I sold it for 10, he could take a 10% royalty on that sale, take 1,000 straight off me. I've made 4,000, he's made another 1,000. Someone else then goes on to sell for 15,000. He then makes another 10%. The argument whether NFTs are useful or not is a difficult one, because art doesn't really have a use as such, just the same way as a Picasso painting is technically useless. So looking at the comments, it seems that some people understand NFTs, some people don't. Some people think it's a bubble, some people don't. What I think we can all agree on is the fact that Blake here is taking advantage of a great opportunity and making the most of it. If it is a bubble, he's making the most of it just now. Being an artist, sometimes money comes and goes, so you can't really argue with him trying to capitalise on this. So I think we'll call it a day on the NFT chat for now. Let me know in the comments if you're enjoying this reaction content. Like I said last week, I'm enjoying making it, so if you're enjoying watching it, we'll keep it going. And also make sure you like the video to let me know that you're enjoying this. And the final request of the video is to hit the big red subscribe button to let me know that you made it this far in the video. Also comment and let me know if you think this NFT thing's a bubble or not. I'd love to hear your opinion on the matter. And with that, I will see you on Friday.